Ravens just finished their final day of mandatory minicamp. They had to take it inside today due to weather. We got some updates to go over, and we also hear from John Harbaugh, Marlon Humphrey, and Kyle Hamilton. All that and more in today's episode of the Flock Rundown.
Ravens Flock. The Flock Rundown is the place to be.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Second episode today. Obviously did not know that Jaire Alexander was getting signed, so had to drop an episode on that earlier today. But Ravens just finished up mandatory minicamp completely, and they are now off 6 weeks until training camp, which starts officially on July 22nd. The rookies will report a week earlier to do some conditioning. They also announced joint practices are August 5th versus the Colts and August 21st versus the Commanders. We got a roster update to go over, so as I already mentioned and as you guys know, we signed Jaire Alexander today. To make room for him, the Ravens waived running back Sone Ntoh. Mr. Touchdown, man. This guy had an insane amount of touchdowns last year in college. I thought that maybe he could have been some power back depth on the practice squad, but the Ravens obviously see that differently because he's the first guy cut. So he will not be on the roster, and welcome Jaire Alexander. Diving into some of the practice notes from today, the kicking competition continues. Tyler Loop and John Hoyland both went 3 for 4 in the live field goal portion of the workout. Both misses were from what looked like to be 65 yards. Loop's tailed wide right, and Hoyland's hit off the right upright. Some other notes from today's practice. Nate Wiggins intercepted Lamar Jackson pass intended for Rashad Bateman. That could have been a pick six in a live situation. Bo Braid held onto a pass intended for Anthony Miller down the right sideline in 7-on-7 work. TJ Tampa logged his second interception in as many days after wide receiver Dayton Wade slipped on an outbreaking route. Anthony Miller had the catch of the day on a deep pass from Cooper Rush down the right sideline, leaping up and snagging the ball between 3 defenders. Tez Walker had another nice day after an impressive OTAs. Walker had several catches, one of which came on a deep pass from Rush when Walker snatched the ball over Tampa. Rookie D-tackle Aeneas Peebles displayed his quick first step, busting into the backfield immediately on one play. He also flashed versatility as an interior pass rush, batting down a pass at the line of scrimmage and nearly turning around to make an interception. Dafe Owe snipped out a short pass underneath to Rashad Bateman near the line of scrimmage in 11-on-11 drills. Owe also charged into the backfield on a different play and may have sacked Jackson, who hit the outside linebacker with a spin move. And Lamar connected with Zay Flowers on a deep pass down the left sideline for roughly a 30-yard gain. We heard from John Harbaugh today, and he spoke on the starting offensive line, and the guys that were out there today are in the lead, and the guys that were out there today are who you'd expect. It's Ronnie Stanley at left tackle, Andrew Voorhees at left guard, Tyler Linderbaum at center, Daniel Fa'alele at right guard, and Roger Rosengarten at right tackle. So obviously the big question is the guards and the guard competition, and Harbaugh did admit that there's a competition, but pretty much said like it's Voorhees and Fa'alele's jobs to lose. So we'll see if Ben Cleveland can push. He also talked about Emory Jones Jr. and said that he's not going to be ready for the start of training camp. They're hoping that he can come back early in training camp. So hopefully Emory gets back on the field as soon as possible, but health is priority. I'd rather him get healthy first. And the fact that he's not even going to be here for the start of training camp pretty much tells me that he's probably not going to be pushing for a starting guard position this year. I just don't think that is, unless he just comes into training camp and is absolutely unbelievable and the best lineman on the team. I just don't see the coaches giving it to a rookie who hasn't been there the entire offseason. I definitely think it's Voorhees and Fa'alele's jobs to lose. I think Voorhees, who won the starting job last year, is going to win the left guard spot again. And Fa'alele doesn't even seem really to be pushed by anybody, so I definitely think he's going to be the right guard. He's also in a contract year, and I'm expecting both of these guys, I've talked about this before, but I'm expecting both of these guards to at least be better than last year, which we need. You know what I mean? Like, we can all admit that they were very inconsistent. There were some scary moments with our guard play last year, and is it going to be perfect this year? Are these guys the long-term answers at guard? I don't know. I'm not confident in saying that, but I do expect it to be better than last year. And our offense was still incredible last year. So if our offensive line can be even better than last year, I think that we'll be all right. And Fa'alele's first year at guard was last year. He's also in a contract year, so he's beyond motivated. Voorhees barely got a chance last year. He won the job, but then got hurt, didn't play the entire season, looked very good at the end of the season. And both of these guys, that was their first year. That was their first opportunity. Roger Rosengarten's another guy that I think gets even better. You know, he was great last year, but he's going to take a leap too. So you got 3 starters on the offensive line who are pretty much guaranteed to improve from where they were last year. So it puts the Ravens in a solid spot. What I like, more competition at guard. You know, I thought Emory Jones might be there throughout the offseason to help push them, but now it seems like a lot of the linemen that we drafted in the draft this year are probably going to be future plays for us and just depth right now. You know, I don't see any of these guys starting this season. You know, I think this is more of a play for Fa'alele, who signs a big deal next year with somebody else and moves on, and you know, we usher in Emory Jones Jr., something like that. Harbaugh also commented again today on Sanusi Kane and said that he has looked great throughout the offseason, is stacking great practices, and is clearly right now in the lead to be that third safety.
Really good offseason. You know, the OTAs have been really good. He's gotten better every day, and the last 2 practices have been very good. So, I mean, you watch him out here, I think you see it. Yeah, he's looked really good.
Sanusi Kane has flashed throughout this entire offseason, and all the opportunity is right there in front of him. You know, right now we don't have a third safety after losing our Darius Washington. It's Sanusi Kane and Bo Braid. So I like these young guys to step up. I think both of these guys will step up, but I would say that if I had to choose one, I do think Sanusi Kane is going to play more minutes on defense. I think both of these guys are going to have special teams roles, but I do see Sanusi Kane cracking that defensive rotation. The big news today was obviously the Jaire Alexander signing, and Harbaugh, Kyle Hamilton, and Marlon Humphrey were raving about Jaire Alexander joining the Ravens.
I had a chance to sit down with him today, which was awesome time, and he's excited to be here. We're excited to have him. He had been kind of behind the scenes in the works a little bit, and I know he wanted to be here, and we wanted him here. You know, so for it to work out the way it did, it made Lamar happy. You know, I think it made everybody happy. It's just an opportunity to become a better team in that sense today. So we're really excited about it.
Great addition. I mean, he's been one of the best in this league since he got in it, and to have anybody like that, no matter what position room, especially as a DB, it's super valuable. And I'm super out of breath because we literally just finished practice, but excited to have him. Been talking to him a lot. Cool dude.
We did kind of speak on teaming up last year, but obviously, you know, he was like, I'm here, and I was like, well, I'm probably not leaving here either. So it ended up working out, but really excited. I think a quote that's never been said and probably will never be said in NFL history is, we got too many corners that can cover. So I think that's a great problem to have, and really excited for that addition.
Our secondary is so stacked and so versatile. A lot of these guys can play in different positions. Marlon Humphrey talked about how he could play a little safety. He can play in the slot. He could play outside if needed. You know, we have a lot of versatility on our defense. I think Malachi Starks can play various positions at safety. So I really think that the Ravens have built a secondary that they can be confident in and multiple. You know, they're able to do whatever really they want to do. And then you add a mind like Chuck Pagano onto this team. I really think Chuck Pagano is going to lift this secondary to another level too. I mean, his knowledge is pretty much unmatched.
Every time he says something in the meeting room with all the DBs, it's kind of like, it's like he's just dropping knowledge. Like, he's forgotten more football than a lot of people know. So to have somebody in the room like that, and Donald too, who's been doing a great job. Honestly, he gets through those installs like a pro. It's impressive. But no, they're both doing a great job so far. But back to Chuck, I think he's accomplished everything in this game besides winning the Super Bowl. So he's voiced that, and we want to get that not only for us but for him too. Guys like him who haven't been able to reach that pinnacle. So he's just a great guy to have, and really happy about the room right now.
And one thing Marlon Humphrey talked about that really stuck out to me is getting back to the Ravens standard on defense. I've heard him talk about this a little bit last year, but he really elaborated on it today and talked about the emphasis on turnovers and how they're not getting turnovers in the big moments. He spoke on that Buffalo game that we lost the turnover battle 3-0, and that's the game. You know, if the defense can get a couple more turnovers, we're in a lot closer of a game. We probably win that game. And the Ravens have an emphasis on forcing turnovers, but more importantly, just getting back to the entire standard that was set by the Raven greats on defense.
I feel like when I first got here, once again, the Raven flu was a real thing. All of a sudden, the guy with the hamstring, like, he'll be playing next week. There was a fear of when you stepped on the field. There's a fear to throw a screen because you got 4 D linemen coming that's retracing. And that standard is just, we're chasing to get it back. It's an urgency to get it back. Minicamp was cool. I felt like we got a lot of good work in OTAs. And it's honestly, OTAs look crazy because usually it's just row. You know row's coming. But when you got 300-pound guys coming and on the outside, you better tackle the guy or you got a lot of guys coming to hit you and their defender. So that's I think the OTA was a good glimpse of what we're preaching, putting it to practice, and then training camp comes, season comes, everybody's got to be rolling. I like how he's preaching. You know, he said the best guy's going to play, and the best guy is whoever's playing the best. And so I think last year he brought some energy, but this year if you're not ready to go, if you're not ready to play, you will not be grabbing your helmet on Sunday. And that's kind of what he's preaching. And I think we're all listening, but I know when we come back camp, he's going to be ready to rock. He's going to be ready to push us. He's going to be ready to take us, I think, to where the Ravens defense once used to be. And I'm excited to be a part of it. And I'm excited for the journey.
And that's pretty much it from today. That's the last minicamp practice. So the next time that we will see the Ravens on the field will be training camp, July 22nd, which is about 5-6 weeks from now. So definitely a little bit of a break, but OTAs was cool to see the guys, man. Minicamp went by in a blink of an eye. It was only 2 practices, so that was not much, but just good to see everyone out there. Good to see the team together. Awesome that we signed Jaire Alexander. I think this roster is absolutely complete, man. I could see us, adding another piece here and there, but I don't think that we really need anything. I think the Ravens are ready to go and just stay healthy. Can't wait to see the guys back in 6 weeks. But let me know what you guys are thinking about everything, what's on your mind. Appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens Flock. The Flock Rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. The Flock Rundown. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.